Good morning, and thank you so much, President Rodriguez, dear Maria Joao, and Secretary General Andor, dear Laszlo, for inviting me. You know how much I regret for not being able to join you in person, but I certainly didn't want to miss out on this great occasion to talk to you, and of course to the young and promising progressive politicians from across the European Union. Dear President Rodriguez, your leadership and the entire foundation have been at the forefront of creative ideas, of democracy definition and defense. And of course, inviting the young ones for such a conversation is something that we very much appreciate. Because, in fact, what we are doing in NATO, in the EU, in our societies is to defend democracy and protect our fundamental values of freedom, of justice, equality, and human dignity. As you know, I'm from Romania, and I grew up on the wrong side of the Iron Curtain. So I know firsthand what oppression, injustice, and authoritarianism are looking like. I also know, on the other side of the coin, how precious our democratic values are, how important freedom is, how important to make sure that you live in an open society. And we have never to take them for granted, because we have so much to do and so much work to do to protect them. Because history never ends, and the competition for ideas is always very important. But our values have never been under such severe attack. Our democracies are under attack. I mentioned authoritarian regimes, be it in Moscow or Beijing and elsewhere, are openly challenging us, pushing back on the rule-based international order, promoting alternative models of governance and societal organization. And they are supporting each other in their efforts to undermine us. Look at the Kim Jong-un visit with Mr. Putin in Russia last week, or Chinese foreign minister visit in Moscow on Monday. When these regimes are coming closer together, it is even more clear and how important it is for us who believe in democracy here in Europe, in North America, and all over the world to stand united and push back. What we see around us is a geopolitical earthquake. The world is changing so fast and so profoundly. So we need to protect the world, the order that is based on principles, on norms and rules that keep us safe, and prevent global disorder. And this is a shared responsibility. And my organization, NATO, we are playing our part, starting in Ukraine, because that's where the fight between freedom and oppression is taking place right now. It is the epicenter of the geopolitical earthquake. The future of Ukraine is about the future of democracy, of freedom, and it's about the future of us all. Ukraine is fighting for its independence and freedom, and we are supporting them, and we are committed to stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes. President Putin thinks he can outweigh us, but we must prove him wrong. He must not win, we must not wane, and Ukraine must prevail. The counteroffensive which is underway is not easy. The fighting is fierce and tough. The battlefield is heavily mined, and Russians have been dug in for months. But Ukrainians are moving forward every day. They're regaining ground, and Russia is losing ground, with barely half of the territory they once controlled. With our continuous support, not least our military support, economic and humanitarian support, this all makes a difference on the battlefield, and this is something we must keep up. That's our responsibility. This is not optional. It's an absolute necessity for Ukraine's survival, for our own security in Europe, but also for global stability. So let's remember that Ukraine's fight is also our fight to protect a system based on rules of law, where right is more important than might. A world of freedom, of prosperity, a world of peace. That's the kind of world we want to live in. Us, my generation, you, the young ones, and the kids and grandkids after you. So this is a lot to do work at home. I spoke about the outside, but we have to make sure that we also put our house in order, that we strengthen our societies, that our critical infrastructure is more resilient, our supply chains more diverse, our democracy better defended. The war against Ukraine and the COVID-19 pandemic taught us that dependencies create vulnerabilities. Our dependence on Russian oil and gas to heat our homes and power our industries was a mistake. NATO allies have come a long way to diversify their supplies. We are moving away from fossil energies and investing in renewable sources. This is good for our security, This is good for the climate. But we need to be careful not to create new dependencies, most notably on China. And we see growing Chinese efforts to control our critical infrastructure, our supply chains, and yes, key industrial sectors and logistics hubs. They have rare earth materials, and they are present everywhere, including in our phones, in our cars, in our military equipment even. So we must be vigilant. We cannot give authoritarian regimes any chance to exploit our vulnerabilities and our open societies again and economies and impose rules that don't align with our values. So defending a sustainable and multi-level global order is not something any country can do alone. Not the United States alone, not us here in Europe alone. We need each other, America and Europe, NATO and the EU, and all the like-minded partner countries around the world, from the Balkans to North Africa, to the Middle East, to Latin America, and all the way to the Indo-Pacific. So we're working ever closely together. And NATO is an essential pillar of a multilateral global order. It's a unique platform that brings America and Europe together every day to protect peace and to protect 1 billion citizens that live in our countries. And I'm also very happy to see Finland and now Sweden joining our ranks. We are also more than 50% of global GDP. We are a formidable collection of democracies. So institutions such as NATO and the EU work with the dedication and the support of our people, and those who work every day to represent the interest of those people. We need you, especially the young ones. We must stand together in times when our democracy is being threatened from outside and from the inside. And this is something personal. I spent much of my career in elected politics, in our political family, just like you. We all understand the importance of the deep connection between our people and those who represent them, who lead them, who govern them, who all be responsible to them. Today, none of us can take for granted that democracy will forever flourish. Like a beautiful garden without constant attention, it will be corrupted by weeds and lost. But together, we can not only maintain, but strengthen our societies, our democracies, and protect them from the reach of authoritarian powers who challenge our way of life and sometimes have allies even within. With NATO and the EU, and with our friends and partners from around the world, and with people like you, I know we will prevail. And like Maria was saying to me when we last met, and I look forward to seeing you and Laszlo and the other friends, this is an important transformation of Europe. European elections are coming by in the next few months. This is very important to mobilize our citizenry and make sure that our values, the need of human dignity, of freedom, of a better way of life, and as Maria has put it, not only to have recovery from the crisis and from the war, but also transformation of our societies for the better. I wish you the best of luck. I'm one of you, even if my generation is a little bit older, I would say more experienced. But keep up the good work, and I always be with you. And I know that we always be on the same side of the good fight that we are fighting together. Thank you so much.